The element that makes the biggest overall impact on the success of my students' essays is unity. The best tool I've found to do this is the formal outline. And today I'm going to show you how to make one. Start with a document that's MLA formatted. You can see how to do that in the video I made. Then you title the document outline of, and then the actual title of the essay already planned out, already titled, the essay that you're actually outlining. Then state your thesis clearly and concisely in probably one, maybe two sentences. Then you're going to start with an introduction, body, and conclusion. The introduction and the conclusion will each be one complete paragraph. In my class, that means at least 3 sentences. In other classes, that may mean 5 sentences, so be sure you know what your teacher is looking for. But those paragraphs will need to be at least 3 sentences, and that introduction in my class will include your thesis statement again, and you may work it in or you may just state it just as you did. In the body, you don't necessarily have to have 3 points or 5 points. You can have an even number of points. You'll start out with your major point. Sometimes that might just be a major source you're using. It may not actually be a point. It may be that you have divided your paper into sources instead of points. So you are going to start to introduce that source with a sentence. Tell me who the author is, where you found that source, and we'll talk more about introducing sources later, but you're going to introduce that source, then use it, quote, paraphrase, or summarize it, and then at the end, be sure that you have connected that back to your thesis statement. You'll do that over and over again for every source or point you have. In the conclusion, of course, you're going to have a complete paragraph again, but do not just restate your thesis or invert your introduction, okay? Do not tell me the same thing that I've already heard. You're recapping and summarizing, not exactly the same thing. Don't use the conclusion to introduce an entirely new point and go off on some tangent, but you can be open-minded and kind of open it up at the end to the fact that more research needs to be done, or maybe there are still questions left at the end of the research that you found. But if you go into too many details, it just becomes another essay. Keep the conclusion short. Once your audience sees that they're on the final paragraph or two, they realize that they're at the end and you start losing their attention, or it's harder to keep their attention. Make sure that your conclusion is somewhat brief. It needs to be a full paragraph or maybe 2, but no more than that. And just make sure that you haven't gone into other points. If you start with in conclusion, it sometimes gives your audience the idea of you're finishing up, when can we leave? So avoid starting with in conclusion. Keep it brief, but still make sure that it's at least 1 paragraph.